Imagine a world where sleep is a luxury, coffee is an IV drip, and numbers aren't just numbers, they're the keys to multi-million-dollar deals. Welcome to investment banking, the high-stakes, high-reward battlefield where ambition meets exhaustion and a single spreadsheet error can cost more than your yearly salary. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on this mysterious profession. What do these suit-clad warriors actually do all day? How much money do they make? And more importantly, why do they do it? Let's dive in. So how do investment banks actually make money? Well, imagine if your friend charged you $50 every time they introduced you to someone at a party. Now imagine that someone is a multi-billion-dollar company, and that introduction is worth billions. That's basically advisory services in a nutshell. When LVMH wanted to buy Tiffany & Co. for $16 billion, they didn't just toss a diamond ring at them and say, "Be mine."
No, God!
Investment banks brokered the deal, skimming 1 to 3% in fees, up to $480 million for what's essentially the world's most expensive jewelry handoff. No wonder bankers treat closing dinners like a Michelin-starred victory lap. But wait, there's more. Investment banks aren't just fancy matchmakers, they're also glorified ticket scalpers with Ivy League degrees. Through underwriting services, they help companies and governments raise money by issuing stocks and bonds. When a company goes public through an IPO, the investment bank buys all the shares at a discount price, then sells them to the public at markup. It's basically the financial equivalent of your cousin who buys PlayStation 5s during Christmas shortages and resells them online, except everyone shakes his hand instead of reporting his account. For a large IPO, banks can pocket $20 to $50 million in a single day. That's enough money to buy a private island or fund a presidential campaign, or as bankers call it, Tuesday. Their third moneymaker is trading operations. Now, I'm not saying investment banks have insider information, but I'm also not saying they're surprised when a company announces something major. They have their ear so close to the ground, they've developed a special kind of banker's tan, pale everywhere except one side of their face. While there are regulations against misusing this information, their position gives them tremendous advantages. Goldman Sachs made over $11 billion from trading in 2022 alone. That's not a typo, that's billion with a B, as in boy. I should have chosen a career where bonus season isn't just a phrase but an actual religious holiday. Investment banks don't waste time with small potatoes. Their clients include Fortune 500 corporations who need capital or want to buy their competitors. Governments issuing bonds because they spent too much on highways that will somehow take even longer to finish. Ultra-wealthy individuals with at least $10 million to invest. Sorry, your Dogecoin portfolio that was worth millions for 37 minutes doesn't count. Institutional investors like pension funds and sovereign wealth funds who manage so much money, they need spreadsheets just to count their spreadsheets. Here's the kicker though. At top banks like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, just 1% of clients generate over 50% of revenue. It's like a nightclub where the VIP section is 99% of the business and everyone else is just there to make the place look busy. If you're a smaller client, you might as well be asking, "Do you know who I am?" And the answer is no, and we don't care to find out unless your net worth has at least 9 zeros. Hey folks, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of high finance, smash that subscribe button harder than a banker smashes the order button on Seamless at 3 a.m. We've got plenty more careers to uncover, and trust me, they only get juicier from here. Now, back to our regularly scheduled programming about how the 1% make their millions, while the rest of us debate if we can afford guacamole on our burrito. Investment banking has a hierarchy so rigid it makes medieval feudalism look like a hippie commune. At the bottom are the analysts, bright-eyed college graduates who thought their 4.0 GPA meant something beyond earning the right to be yelled at by someone wearing cufflinks that cost more than their student loan payments. Above them are associates, usually MBA graduates, who are finally realizing that $200,000 in student debt bought them the privilege of being slightly less terrified when the managing director walks by. Then come vice presidents, who are just associates who've developed the unique ability to survive on 2 hours of sleep while maintaining the appearance of someone who totally meant to have that hairstyle. At the top sit the managing directors, who've mastered the art of sending one-word emails like thoughts that cause panic attacks in 17 people simultaneously. The most hilarious part isn't the long hours, it's how your bathroom privileges change as you climb the ladder. Analysts calculate optimal bladder emptying times to minimize workflow disruption, while managing directors have bathrooms so private and luxurious, they make the Ritz-Carlton look like a gas station restroom. It's like a weird financial caste system where your compensation package literally includes a restroom privileges section with increasing amenities as you ascend. Now for everyone's favorite part, the money. Investment banking compensation packages are like those hot sauces that come with warning labels, except the warning is, may cause insufferable personality and the irresistible urge to mention your bonus at Thanksgiving dinner. Analysts, the newbies. $150,000 to $200,000. Sounds amazing until you calculate the hourly rate based on 100-hour weeks and realize you're making roughly the same as the security guard in your building, except he gets to see his family and remember what the sun looks like. Associates, 3 to 6 years in, $250,000 to $400,000. Just enough to afford a studio apartment in Manhattan the size of a Tesla and still have enough left over to expense therapy sessions you'll never have time to attend. Vice presidents, 6 to 10 years, $450,000 to $700,000. Now we're talking. This is summer home territory, though you'll only see it in photos your spouse sends you while you're pulling an all-nighter to fix a decimal point error in a 347-page presentation. Directors, 10 to 15 years, $750,000 to $1,300,000. At this point, your kids have a more meaningful relationship with your Amex Black Card than with you. They might select household staff as their emergency contact at school. Managing directors, 15 plus years, $1 million to $10 million plus. These are the people who have heated debates about whether their helicopter pad should be on their primary yacht or their backup yacht for when the first one is being cleaned. The pay gap within the same bank is wider than the Grand Canyon after a growth spurt. A star managing director might make 100 times what an analyst does. That's like your boss buying a private jet with the money they saved by replacing the office coffee machine with a jar of instant coffee and a sign that says, "Embrace resilience." Even more scandalous is their secret tiering system. 2 vice presidents, who seem identical on paper, might have a $300,000 compensation difference based on mysterious performance rankings decided in rooms with doors so thick they could survive nuclear winter. It's like Hunger Games, but with PowerPoint instead of bows and arrows. And instead of fighting to the death, you're fighting for that beach house in the Hamptons that will impress the other bankers who are too busy to visit it. What do investment banks expect from employees? Only your soul, with your firstborn as a backup option and your circadian rhythm as collateral. The banker lifestyle includes being available 24/7, even during your own wedding, producing error-free work under deadlines that would make even NASA engineers say, that's not physically possible unless you've discovered time travel. Maintaining perfect appearance standards, dark circles under your eyes, are considered a form of business casual dress code violation. Demonstrating unwavering loyalty to the firm, mentioning a competitor's name, is treated with the same horror as saying Macbeth in a theater or work-life balance in a bank. One Goldman Sachs managing director told me, "We don't pay you for your work, we pay you for your life." This explains why bankers keep suits, toothbrushes, and divorce papers at their desks. It's not dedication, it's Stockholm Syndrome, with better catering and an open bar at the holiday party where you're still expected to check emails. After several burnout cases, including one tragic death, banks introduced protected weekends, where junior bankers get one whole day off. The financial world celebrated this revolutionary concept that the rest of humanity calls Saturday, treating it like they had just invented the concept of leisure time itself. Banking culture combines the worst aspects of The Office and Game of Thrones with a sprinkle of Survivor thrown in for good measure. It's built on competition against not just other banks, but against the person sitting next to you. Your colleague Dave isn't just the guy who steals your lunch from the break room fridge. He's also trying to steal your promotion, your bonus, and possibly your will to live. The industry's best-kept secret? Only about 1 in 15 entry-level bankers will ever reach managing director. The system is designed for attrition, like a pyramid scheme where everyone knows it's a pyramid but joins anyway because the top of the pyramid has really nice views and a helicopter pad. It's basically the Hunger Games Wall Street edition, except instead of fighting for food, you're fighting for which Swiss bank gets to hide your money. For those who make it, investment banking offers generational wealth. A successful 20-year career can generate enough money to buy a small island and name it after yourself, or more realistically, to pay for the therapy your children will need after growing up with a parent who considered quality time to be sitting in the same room while on separate conference calls. However, nearly 40% of junior bankers leave within 3 years, citing reasons like, "I want to see sunlight again," and "I'd like to remember what my family looks like without looking at the photos in my wallet." Some exit to private equity firms, which is like leaving a burning building to enter a slightly less burning building that has better snacks. As one former banker put it, in investment banking, you trade your 20s for the possibility of financial freedom in your 30s. It's like making a deal with a very well-dressed devil who promises you everything, but fails to mention the fine print about developing an eye twitch that activates whenever you hear a phone notification. That's our inside look at investment banking. Next time, we'll explore another high-stakes profession where people trade their personal lives for impressive dinner party conversation starters, assuming they ever get invited to dinner parties because they're not stuck at the office. Until then, remember, the best job is the one that lets you afford therapy to deal with having that job and actually gives you time to attend the sessions. Oh, and if you enjoyed this glimpse into how the other half lives, hit that subscribe button faster than an analyst hits send when they receive an email from a managing director at 2 a.m. See you next time on the 1% Jobs.